So hello everyone and a very good day, and especially those who are about to watch this and to the panel who is going to watch this. And my name is Brendan Vico. I'm from BNG. So right now and today I'm gonna present my final year project one. So the title of my project would be the study of the characteristic of motorcycle suspension system. Okay, so we're going to proceed to the research background. So these are some of the first view or the picture for this my project. So it's about the background of this study is about a motorcycle that has the same suspension system like the vehicle does, where its function was to absorb the bump in the road and to ensure that the tires are in contact with the road. And unlike vehicle, a motorcycle has a quite small component of suspension which consists of front and rear suspension, and are also known as a shock absorber. So this shock absorber in the suspension also dissipate kinetic energy when shock impulse are damped. So we move on to the problem statement and the objectives. So my problem statement is it will be a problem to the motorcycle performance when a shock absorber in a motorcycle has damage, in which it will affect the driving comfort where the unsprung weight is not supported by the absorber, as well as the stability of the motorcycle when the tire is under inflation or over inflation. So there are two objectives for these projects, which is the first objective is to study a single degree of freedom with two motion on the result of data acquisition from the motorcycle absorber. And the second objective for this project is to study the motorcycle driving performance on different types of tire condition. So move on to the next content. So the scope of study. So in this project there are two scope of study, which is the first one is there will be a few types of condition of tire which will be considered, which is under inflation, over inflation, and a proper inflation. So with a distance of 15 meter. And the second scope is motorcycle sim e-bonus 1110 will be used in conducting this experiment. Okay, so for the literature review, so this literature review would be the basic understanding of the motorcycle suspension system. So there are there are two categories for the suspension system of the motorcycle, which is the front suspension and the rear suspension. Okay, so the first function for the front suspension is to give a guide to the front wheel of the motorcycle to spring and to provide good steer or to dampen and to give support under braking. Okay, for the front suspension system, it has a telescopic fork, which is considered only in this project conducted. So for the rear suspension system, the function is to support the weight of the rear of the bike with the help of absorber by controlling any ups and down oscillation of the suspension. So in this project, there are two types of rear suspension system which will be studied, which is the swing arm and the shock absorber. The next one is the findings. So these are the some of the findings that have been made during in completion of this final year project one. So move on to the methodology. The methodology would be starting from the start, and would go to the literature review and the parameter study, and would go to the attaching the sensor to the motorcycle absorber. And the next one is to proceed the distance setup, which is 15 meter, and then perform the first test, which is underinflated of both tire. So this test will be conducted by measuring the distance, which is 15 meter, and the speed is constant to all this testing, which is 15 kilometer per hour, and then proceed to the next test, which is the overinflated tire with the same constant distance and constant speed. And then the third test would be conducted, which is the uh, the proper inflated of the tire. Okay, and then so for the next one, we go to the result comparison. So all of these three experiments conducted, uh, the graph will be produced, and so from this graph, the graph will be studied and be compared and to be discussed. So after the result comparison, we go to the discussion, which is to discuss the graph on why is it fluctuate and how it affects the driving performance of the condition of the tire to the motorcycle. And then finally we go to the conclusion and the recommendation for this project. So for this experiment setup, a motorcycle, which is the Sim eBonus, will be used as a test for motorcycle for conducting the experiment. And the inflation of the tire will be conducted on both front and rear. And then the experiment will be conducted on the road surface. And then a gyro and accelerometer sensor will be attached on both of the motorcycle absorber in order to get the graph, which is the acceleration against time and the graph of angle against time. Okay, so the next one is for the experiment setup is for this project, software like MATLAB and Simulink will be used as a platform to interface between all of these modules. And a Wi-Fi configuration needs to be made before begin the testing. And in order to do this, the Arduino Mega and the sensor needs to be connected to the PC through a Wi-Fi with the help of the Node MCU ESP8266 chip. This means a wireless connection needs to be set up in order to prevent from carrying the laptop during the testing. Next one is the expected outcome. So the graph result will be shown by using the Simulink scope to display and save the graph generated. So the expected graph to be generated is based on this experiment, which will be conducted is the acceleration against time and the graph of angle against time. So on the left, it shows the expected graph to be produced when interfacing the sensor wirelessly by using MATLAB Simulink. As you can see here, this is the graph. This is the expected result to be produced by the sensor for this project. So a result was produced for the first attempt in interfacing the modules by using the S-function builder block. However, an error was encountered, which was the scope of the graph is not displaying any output or movement from the sensor, and this is the causes of this error might be from the coding output or the baud rate. So for the last part of this presentation would be the conclusion. So the experiment and research will be done to meet the requirements to get the expected result of collecting the data from the motorcycle absorber under different types of tire condition. And inflation of the tire plays a significant role in the performance of the vehicle, whereby under inflation, for example, would cause a tire failure. So upon the success of this project, it will allow the researchers and the development team and the consumer to improve the safety and also the performance of the motorcycle. And this is all from me, and thank you very much for your attention.